This happened last week. I often visit the cemetery, not because I'm morbid, but because I love local history. I'm a bit of a nerd about it, if I'm honest. The place is peaceful during the day, a nice escape from my busy life. I've never stopped thinking about how calming it feels there, even after losing my wife. One afternoon, while walking among the old gravestones, I spotted something shiny in the dirt. I bent down and pulled out an ancient locket. It was cold and old, but beautiful in a way. There was something familiar about it, though I couldn't place it. Maybe it was a long-lost treasure from someone who had once visited this cemetery. I took it home, thinking I could show my students a piece of local lore. That night, everything changed. I woke up to soft whispers. I could have imagined it, but it felt real. I tried to brush it off. Maybe my mind was playing tricks on me. The whispers came back, almost like someone was trying to tell me something. A part of me felt drawn to it. As the nights passed, I started dreaming about the woman who owned that locket. At first, her face was blurry, but by the third night, it was almost clear. She looked sad, lost. I felt she wanted me to uncover her story. A chill ran through me. I had to find out what happened to her. In my dreams, she lingered in the corners. I started doubting my sanity. The shadows began showing up in reflections. I would walk past a mirror and see her for just a second, fading into nothing. Cold air brushed past me as I walked by the kitchen. I looked over my shoulder often, feeling like I was being watched. It was unsettling. One evening, I stared at the locket. It felt heavy in my hand, much heavier than it should. I thought about its owner. I wasn't sure if I was being haunted or guided. Then one night, I got out of bed and followed the whispers. I ended up in front of the bathroom mirror, my heart racing. The whispers grew louder. "What do you want from me?" I asked out loud, breath held. I felt something cold touch my shoulder. I turned around quickly. Nothing was there. That's when the real fear set in. Did she want me to find out what happened to her, or was it a warning to stay away? I didn't know, but something pushed me to keep digging. With every question, the feeling of dread crept into my heart. Then her voice broke through the whispers, faint but clear. "Help me," she said. I stood there, frozen. I never felt so alone. The weight of those words settled on me. What did I just invite into my life? I didn't sleep well that night. Every creak of the house felt like a whisper. Every shadow seemed to stretch towards me. I kept telling myself it was just my imagination, but deep down, I knew something wasn't right. The words, "help me," replayed in my mind like a broken record, echoing through the quiet of the night. The next morning, I decided to do some research. I needed to know who this woman was. I went straight to the local library, hoping to find something in the old records or newspapers. As I sifted through dusty books and faded articles, the weight of the locket in my pocket reminded me of my purpose. Hours passed. I dug deeper into the history of the cemetery, looking for clues. It was no longer just an interest, it felt like an obligation. Then I stumbled upon an old photograph in a tattered scrapbook. There she was, her face clearer than in my dreams. I gasped. It was the same woman. Her name was Clara. A short article accompanied the image, telling of her tragic death many decades ago. She had been a young bride, found lifeless on her wedding day. They said she had vanished the night before, but was later discovered in the woods nearby. Nobody ever learned how she died. The last words she was heard saying echoed through the town. "I'll find a way to come back." My stomach twisted. This was getting too real. I rushed home, heart racing. As I turned the key in the lock, I felt a chill creep up my spine. The air was thick, almost electric. I stepped inside, glancing around as if expecting something or someone to be waiting for me. The locket felt unusually warm in my pocket. I took it out and set it on the table. I had to decipher what it meant, but as I stared at it, panic surged through me. I could hear the whispers again, and this time they felt closer than before. "Help me," the voice pleaded, filling the room. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and everything went dark. I was engulfed in silence, except for the growing intensity of whispers surrounding me. My heart raced. Was this it? Was I being drawn into whatever had happened to Clara? Then everything shifted. The whispers formed words, each louder than the last. "Find him," they insisted. I didn't know who or what I was supposed to find. I felt paralyzed, rooted to the spot as the room turned cold. That's when I saw it, a shadow darting past the window. I rushed to look outside, but there was nothing, just the stillness of my backyard. Yet something told me this was just the beginning. Clara wasn't merely looking for help, she was leading me somewhere. Where would I go from here? What did I awaken with my curiosity? I took a deep breath, my pulse pounding in my ears. I was in too deep to turn back now. I had to find out who I was meant to find. I spent the rest of the evening in a haze, unable to shake the feeling that Clara was still here, urging me forward. The whispers still echoed in my mind. Find him. But who was he? I felt a pull, an invisible force drawing me back to the cemetery. The next morning, I made a plan. I had to return, to dig deeper into whatever mystery Clara was hiding. My stomach churned nervously as I grabbed my backpack. I packed a flashlight, a notebook, and the locket. I needed to document everything, every thought, every whisper. The sun shone brighter than usual as I walked the familiar path to the cemetery. The air felt loaded, heavy with anticipation. I could almost hear Clara's whispers in the rustling leaves above. Once I arrived, the old gravestones stood like silent sentinels, marking a past that felt intertwined with my present. I surveyed the area, my eyes scanning for something or someone. Clara's grave was just as I remembered, but my eyes were drawn to a nearby tree. It was massive, with thick roots spilling onto the dirt. I felt a strange connection to it. I walked over, brushing my fingertips along the bark. Then I noticed something glinting beneath the roots. My heart raced. I crouched down, pushing away dirt and debris. It took some effort, but I revealed a small weathered box. I pried it open, holding my breath. Inside lay a collection of items: a rusted key, a small diary, and a faded photograph of a man looking directly at the camera with piercing eyes. I flipped through the diary. The handwriting was elegant and familiar. It was Clara's. The entries chronicled her life, her dreams, and the days leading up to her wedding. But the last few pages were different. They were frantic, scribbled in haste. "He's coming for me," one entry read. "I must find the key to stop him." I looked at the rusted key in disbelief. Who was the man in the photograph? I gripped the items tightly, my mind racing. My gut twisted. Clara's fate was bound to something far darker than I had imagined. Suddenly, a chill swept through the air. I glanced around, heart pounding. The cemetery felt different. Shadows shifted among the tombstones. Was I being watched? I could hear soft footsteps in the distance, closing in gradually. Panic surged as I quickly stuffed the items back into the box. I stood up, my mind racing. Instead of turning to run, I listened. The footsteps seemed to pause, and then I heard it. A voice, just barely. "Help me." The urgency in her plea made my blood run cold. Who was Clara speaking of? And why did the presence feel so ominous? I had a choice to make. Did I flee or confront whatever this was? Just then, a dark figure emerged from behind a tree. The man from the photograph. My breath hitched. I was face to face with the very figure Clara had warned about. "What do you want?" Voice trembling. His eyes locked onto mine, and for a moment everything else faded. The whispers stopped. It was just the two of us, suspended in a moment that felt like fate. That's when I knew. I couldn't back down now. I had to dig deeper. My heart raced with fear and determination as I waited for him to speak. The figure stepped out of the shadows, revealing more of himself. He was tall, with hair falling just above his eyes, and those piercing orbs locked onto mine, searching. For a moment, I was frozen, feeling as if I were drowning in the depths of his gaze. My mind screamed at me to run, but I stood my ground. "You have something that belongs to me," he said, his voice low and smooth, almost hypnotic. I tightened my grip on the box, instinctively hiding it behind my back. "What do you mean?" His expression darkened, his eyes narrowing. "The key." Clara made a choice, but she was too afraid to follow through. She thought she could escape. My heart pounded. Clara had mentioned a key in her diary. Did he mean the rusted key I had found? I took a step back, glancing around as if searching for any form of escape. The whispers returned, swirling in my mind. "Why did you come here?" I demanded, trying to sound braver than I felt. "What do you want with Clara?" "Clara knew too much," he said, taking a step forward. "She didn't understand the consequences of her actions. She awakened something powerful, and now it's restless." Chills crept down my spine. I could piece together bits of the truth, but I didn't want to believe it. "No, she was just—" "Just what?" he interrupted, voice rising. "A girl in love? Clara thought she could play with forces beyond her understanding. I tried to warn her, but now you're involved too." A jolt of fear shot through me. The air felt thick with tension. I needed to know more. "What are you talking about? What did Clara do?" His gaze flickered to the box, and I knew I had to be careful. "Only she can unlock the secrets, but to do so, you must make a choice." "What choice?" I asked, my throat dry. He smiled, but it wasn't warm. "You must decide if you're willing to seek the truth, even if it means facing darkness. If you're brave enough to uncover what lies ahead, you need the key. Without it, you're just borrowing time." I stared at him, every instinct telling me to run, but the need to understand surged stronger. "If I give you the key, what will you do?" Silence enveloped us for a moment. Then he leaned in closer, the darkness radiating from him. "I'll help you find Clara, but I warn you, some truths are not meant to be uncovered. Are you prepared for that?" My heart raced. I was trapped in this web of uncertainty, and yet I felt the pull to discover more. Could I trust him, or was he just another piece of the puzzle that would make things worse? Then something shifted behind him. I could see different shadows flickering among the gravestones, almost as if they were gathering to hear his words. "You need to decide," he urged, a fire igniting in his eyes. I won't ask again. That's when I saw it. A flickering light in the distance, moving through the cemetery like a beacon. Someone else was coming. Or something. "Choose now," he hissed, the intensity in his gaze becoming almost unbearable. I felt trapped, with darkness closing in. I needed time to think, but I had none left. I could confront this man, the puzzle hidden in the box, or flee just before everything descended into chaos. But before I could decide, the light flickered closer. I could no longer ignore the sense of urgency. I took a deep breath, ready to speak, but everything went dark. I stumbled, my heart racing, as the darkness enveloped me. It wasn't the comforting cloak of night, but an overwhelming void that swallowed any other sensation. A muffled sound echoed in the distance, a strange combination of whispers intermingled with laughter, but it felt sinister, twisted. Then I felt a pull, an electric jolt that coursed through me, snapping me back into my body. My surroundings shifted, reassembling into an eerie twilight. I was still in the cemetery, but it felt different. The color drained from the world, leaving only shades of gray around me. In my hands, the box grew heavier, as if it held all the weight of my fear and uncertainty. I looked around cautiously, and panic gripped me. The man was gone. Those shadows lingered, now lacking their master's presence. Before I could really process it, I noticed the flickering light again, closer now. It danced around the gravestones, illuminating a path through the mist. I felt a strange compulsion to follow, my legs moving before my brain had a chance to protest. I didn't want to be left alone in this overwhelming space. I crept forward, hesitant but desperate for answers. The light beckoned me, and I didn't know why. Each step felt heavy, filled with unspoken dread. The whispering got louder, bouncing off the stones and spiraling into my thoughts. Just as I approached the light source, it fizzled out, leaving me surrounded by stark darkness once more. But where the light had been, a figure emerged. "Clara?" I gasped, recognizing her silhouette. But it wasn't quite her. It felt like her, yet somehow twisted. Shadows flickered across her face, creating a terrifying smile that was so unlike the warm one I remembered. "You're here?" she said, her voice a distorted echo, almost playful yet unsettling. "Clara, what happened to you?" I stepped back, fear swelling in my chest. I remembered the stories we shared, but what stood before me was something otherworldly. "They can't see me, but you can." Her laughter echoed, each note sharp. "You found the key. Do you realize what you've done?" "I found a key?" I stammered. The weight of the box felt unbearable in my hands, almost urging me to open it. "What do you mean?" She hovered closer, the shadows shifting around her. "You must understand. There are things about this place that your mind cannot comprehend. The key unlocks more than just secrets." Suddenly, the ground shook beneath us. The shadows writhed, reaching toward me, as if they yearned to pull me in. Clara's eyes brightened in the darkness, but I couldn't shake my instinct to run. "They won't stop until they find what they seek," she warned. "And if you stay here, you'll never leave." I glanced back at the path where I had come, the darkness swallowing it whole. Panic surged. What do I do? "Choose!" she shouted, a mix of desperation and wild excitement. "Do you wish to know the truth, the real truth?" That's when the whispers intensified, drowning my thoughts. It was more than just a request, it felt like a demand. With every beat of my heart, the weight of the decision pressed down on me. I had to decide: stay with the shadows or dive deeper into the mystery. Without warning, a bright flash exploded in the distance, illuminating figures draped in shadows. And just like that, I froze, knowing something terrible was coming. The figures moved closer, their outlines becoming sharper against the pale light. I couldn't tell if they were humans or merely shadows given form, but they emanated a chilling energy that sent waves of dread through me. I tried to summon the courage to run, but my feet felt like they were glued to the ground. "Clara," I called out, desperate for any thread of familiarity. "What are those things?" "They are the Seekers," she replied, her voice slipping into a quiet tone, almost reverent. "They've been searching for you since you opened the box." I glanced down at the box. Its cold metal surface reflected the dim light, and I could feel the pulsing energy within it, a heartbeat that resonated with my own. Whatever was inside felt alive, waiting. But what if it only brought more danger? "They're drawn to the key's power," Clara said urgently, her shape wavering. "You have to make your choice now. If you keep the key, you must face the truth of this place. But if you let it go, you might escape." The figures drew nearer, their features pouring out of the shadows, a mix of anguish and curiosity stitched into their forms. A horrible realization washed over me.
They weren't just spirits. They were fragments of lost souls, drawn here to the cemetery, searching for something they'd lost. "What do you want?" I shouted, my voice quaking. "Why are you here?" They didn't answer, but their movements shifted slightly, as if they were listening.
In that silence, their collective whispers turned into something coherent. "Help us." A chill raced down my spine. They were asking for help? But how could I assist them when I was terrified for my own life? I looked back at Clara, who was now a flicker among the shadows. If I choose to help them, what will happen to me? "The choice is yours," she whispered, fading further into the darkness. "You have the power, but you must decide how to wield it." The figures encroached, their eyes glowing faintly, pleading. I could almost sense their stories twisting through the air. What if they were innocent? What if they were victims of the very darkness that bound them? But then I thought back to the twisting, taunting nature of the shadows and the whispers that had haunted my every step. The cemetery was no sanctuary. It distorted everything sacred. That's when I saw it, a glimmer behind the shadows, twisting like smoke, yet shimmering like starlight. It pulled at my heart more than the box ever had. This was a choice: to uncover more secrets and risk being consumed, or to help the lost spirits and maybe find my way back to light. Before I could second-guess myself, I turned toward the seekers. "What do you need?" The shadows converged around me, their whispering rising to a chorus. They seemed to respond with an overwhelming surge of energy, pulling me deeper into the unknown. It felt like I had opened a floodgate. The shadows pressed in, cold and clamoring, drumming around me. Then everything went dark. I blinked, but the darkness didn't fade. It wrapped around me like a shroud, thick and suffocating. I felt weightless, as if I were floating, caught between reality and some otherworldly realm. A muffled whisper called to me from the void, growing clearer by the second. "Help us." I tried to focus, but my thoughts were scattered like leaves in a storm. I couldn't tell where I was or if I was still in the cemetery. Panic surged within me. "Who are you?" I croaked, my voice sounding foreign against the silence. "Find the truth." The words echoed, reverberating in the hollow around me. It sounded like many voices blending into one, an urgent plea woven through despair. Then a flicker of light broke through the bleakness, faint but growing. I squinted, craning my neck to see. Shapes began to materialize from the darkness, more defined than before. The seekers surrounded me, their forms shifting and twitching, still resembling mere shadows, yet eerily distinct. Suddenly, their faces sharpened. I could see haunting expressions, eyes wide with sorrow, mouths twisted in silent cries. The realization hit me like a punch. These were souls trapped in torment. I felt an unexpected pang of sympathy. "I want to help. Just tell me how." Without warning, one of the seekers stepped forward, extending a ghostly hand. As it brushed against my own, a cold wave coursed through me, sending fragments of images flooding my mind. Flashes of a life lived and lost, laughter mingled with cries for help, a deep-rooted sorrow digging into the marrow of existence. Visions spun faster, scenes of betrayal, abandonment, and grief. Each glimpse felt like a dagger, opening wounds I had never known were there. I gasped, pulling my hand back, struggling to keep my balance as the weight of their memories threatened to pull me under. "Please, help us find peace," the figure urged, its voice softer now, a gentle caress amid the chaos. "We are bound by our pasts. You hold the key to our freedom." "Me?" I stammered, disbelief flooding my senses. "But I'm just a girl who opened a box. I don't know how to fix this." "Help us. You must confront the one who cursed us." A chill settled in my bones, an unfathomable terror. The one who cursed them? What did that mean? I felt lost, my heart pounding wildly as dread washed over me. What do I have to do? The seekers stepped back, forming a circle. The air shifted around me, magnetic and charged, and I could feel the box's energy thrumming in sync with my growing fear. Through their collective gaze, clarity emerged, like the dawn breaking through a long night. Journey to the heart. The truth is buried beneath. Before I could ask more, they dissipated, melting back into the shadows, leaving me alone, surrounded by a deep, throbbing silence. I was no longer afraid. Now I was filled with a sense of purpose. But the uncertainty gnawed at me. What awaited me in the heart of whatever darkness I was meant to confront? I glanced around, the faint glow of the box tethering me to reality. I had to move quickly. The cemetery was shifting, reshaping itself around the edges. I didn't have much time. As I steadied myself, I heard something behind me. A low growl, deep and ominous. I turned, heart racing, ready for whatever came next. But nothing could prepare me for what lurked beyond the darkness. I squinted into the darkness, trying to make sense of the growl that echoed around me. The sound was low and guttural, stirring something primal in my gut. I took a cautious step back, but the growl intensified, vibrating through the air and almost shaking the ground beneath my feet. "Show yourself," I yelled, trying to sound brave, but my voice came out shaky, betraying the fear cascading through me. The shadows shifted, twisting oddly as if taunting me, and I could feel my dread rise. Then, without warning, a shape lunged from the shadows. I barely had time to react. My instincts kicked in, and I stumbled back, tripping over my own feet. I hit the ground hard, the impact knocking the breath out of me. My heart thudded wildly as I scrambled to get up, but my eyes widened when I saw it. A creature emerged, its form flickering between.
Fangs glinted in the faint light, and its eyes burned like coals, red and piercing. To my horror, it resembled the Seekers, but twisted. This one was angry, chaotic, and hungry. "Please, don't hurt me," I cried, my voice barely above a whisper. The creature paused, tilting its head as if contemplating me. There was a flicker of recognition in those fiery eyes, a trace of what it used to be. I remembered the Seeker's words, the one who cursed them. Was this creature a part of that curse? I took a deep breath, battling the urge to run. "I'm here to help," I shouted, trying to be heard over the pounding of my heart. "I want to set you free." The creature snarled, its body quivering with rage. A moment passed before it lunged again, but this time I stood my ground. I wasn't here to fight. I was meant to uncover the truth. "What happened to you?" I urged, urging the creature to understand. It hesitated, and for a brief moment the shadows around it began to lose their edges. I caught a glimpse of the soul within, filled with sorrow and fear, the same emotions I saw in the Seekers. "Help us," it rasped, voice dripping with despair. "I can't escape this pain." At that moment, clarity struck like a bolt of lightning. This creature, as terrifying as it was, wasn't evil. It was trapped, just like the others. A swell of determination surged through me. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the box, clutching it tightly. "This is the key, isn't it? The truth is inside." The creature growled, but its eyes softened, filled with a longing that echoed through the stillness. "The heart You must find the heart." "Where?" I asked, my voice urgent. "Tell me where to go." But instead of an answer, the creature suddenly shrieked, the sound piercing through the night as shadows swirled around us. The ground trembled beneath me, and I saw the cemetery shift once more, stones cracking and shifting as a deep rumble echoed from the earth. I staggered back, my pulse racing. Whatever was to come, it was happening now. Then I noticed a light glowing brighter ahead, flickering through the darkness like a beacon. That had to be it, the heart, the truth buried beneath. With one last look at the creature, I took off toward the light, the remaining whispers of the seekers urging me on. I didn't know what awaited me, but I felt it deep in my bones. This was the abyss I had to face. As I sprinted forward, a chilling thought struck me. What if the heart held the answers I didn't want to find? I ran toward the light, my footsteps echoing in the stillness. The glow pulsed gently, drawing me closer. The air felt charged, pricking at my skin. Anxiety twisted in my stomach. What if the heart revealed dark secrets, secrets that would shatter everything I thought?
New? As I approached, the landscape shifted around me. The cemetery, once a haphazard patchwork of graves, now seemed alive. The headstones glowed faintly, illuminating the path. I could almost hear whispers in the wind, calling to me, urging me to come closer. "Keep going," I muttered to myself, willing my feet to move faster. A shadow darted from behind a gravestone, and I froze. It was another creature, this one smaller, with sleek fur and sharp, darting eyes. It stood still, watching me. My heart drummed loud in my ears as I weighed my options. It looked less threatening, but still, something about it felt off. "Hey, I mean no harm," I called out, keeping my voice steady, even when I wanted to back away. The creature's head tilted, and it took a step closer. I wished I could understand its intentions. Suddenly, it pounced. My instinct was to dodge, but I didn't. I held my ground, reaching into my pocket for the box. I hoped it would help in some way. Just as my fingers brushed against it, the creature skidded to a halt. Its eyes widened, recognizing something it couldn't resist. I slowly withdrew the box, feeling a warmth radiate from it. The creature sniffed the air, its body quivering as it took a tentative step back. Something passed between us, a brief connection in the haze of confusion. "Do you want to know about the heart too?" I asked, almost involuntarily. To my shock, it nodded. The creature glanced toward the glowing light lingering just ahead, its interest piqued. I hesitated for a moment. This creature was lost too, searching for answers, just like me. "All right then, let's find it together," I said, summoning courage I didn't feel. With that, I took off again, the creature trailing behind me, its movements quick and graceful. As we closed in on the radiant source, a wall of dense fog appeared, swallowing the light whole. My stomach sank. There was no turning back now. "Stay close," I urged, feeling the cold tendrils of uncertainty wrap around me. The fog thickened, and I could barely see. I squinted, trying to make out the shapes around me. An unsettling feeling crept in, making me question if I had made a mistake bringing this creature with me. Should I leave it behind? The thought twisted inside me. But before I could decide, the fog parted, revealing a stone altar bathed in shimmering light. Atop it lay a heart-shaped stone, pulsating as if alive. My breath caught in my throat. It was mesmerizing. What secrets could it hold? But just as I took a step forward, the ground trembled. The creature growled beside me, and I felt an oppressive force bearing down. I glanced at the fog. It twisted, thickening again, as shadowy figures emerged, their intentions unclear. Panic bubbled up inside me. "What now?" I whispered, dread rising as I faced the growing darkness. The heart was so close, yet everything felt uncertain. Then I noticed the whispers again, louder this time, urging us toward the light. I made my choice. We have to reach the heart. But the shadows lunged, blocking our path, and the air crackled with danger. The first strike landed, sending shockwaves through me as I braced for the fight ahead. In a flurry of emotion, I dashed toward the heart-shaped stone. I felt the creature beside me hesitating, but I knew it had to trust me now. The shadows surged, their sinister forms weaving around us in an attempt to obstruct our path. Panic surged in my chest, but the pulsating heart grew brighter with each step. It felt like a promise, an assurance that there was hope at the end of this darkness. "Stay close," I shouted over the din of whispers and growls. The air felt electric, charged with desperation. As I rounded the altar, I threw my body against it, clutching the heartstone in my hands. Its warmth radiated through my skin, almost as if it recognized me, as if it groaned for the truth to be set free. The shadows converged, clawing at my heels. I could feel their icy breath just behind me, a steady thrum of menace. It was a darkness that threatened to swallow me whole. "Tell me how to help you," I yelled, voice breaking. I poured every ounce of my hope into the heartstone, desperately wishing to unlock its secrets. And in that moment, it happened. A surge of energy erupted from within the heart. The shadows recoiled, screeching, their forms flickering in and out of existence, as if the very essence of light was burning them away. The stone pulsed in rhythm with my own heart, and suddenly images flooded my mind. I saw Clara, her laughter, her pain, and then the betrayal she had suffered at the hands of the man whom I now realized represented all that was dark. It dawned on me that this heart wasn't simply a piece of lore. It was tied to the essence of her story and the truth that shaped the cemetery itself. With every pulse, whispers grew more coherent. "Find the truth, set us free," they cried, echoing Clara's voice intertwined with the seekers. Fueled by determination, I focused on the knowledge passing through me. I reached out, placing my hands onto the heart. "Clara," I called, imposing my will on the darkness. "I'm here. I will help you." The connection intensified, and a wave of warm light washed over us, forcing the shadows to retreat. I felt the creature pulsing next to me, absorbing the energy as if drawing strength from the heart. But just as hope began blossoming in my chest, the shadows roared back in fury. I couldn't let the darkness reclaim what light had just offered. The desperate cries of the trapped souls rang out, enveloping me in a cacophony of emotion. "Enough!" I cried, wrestling with whatever dark force threatened to overwhelm us. "You are not stronger than love." When I said the words aloud, I felt a resonance inside the heart, igniting a light so bright it momentarily obliterated everything around us. The shadows twisted and screamed, their anguish mingling with my understanding of Clara's sorrow, the haunting memories of her last moments replaying in vivid flashes. In that heartbeat, I saw the truth. She had paid a price for seeking answers, and now it was my turn to break that cycle. I poured all my resolve into the heartstone, determined to shatter the chains binding the spirits to this world. "You will be free," I shouted, channeling Clara's wishes and desires. "You will find peace." In response, the heart blazed with an intensity that lit up the entire cemetery. The shadows, shrieking in despair, began to dissolve, swept away by the cascading waves of light. Each flicker of energy snatched away remnants of sorrow, threading them together until the final remnants of darkness vanished. Then silence. The pulsating heart settled, its glow dimming to a dull warmth, as if it had finally achieved what it long sought. The night around me brightened, casting gentle moonlight over everything. The creature beside me, once menacing, transformed back into the seeker, a gentle, ethereal glow surrounding it. I looked into its eyes, which reflected gratitude mixed with newfound clarity. "We are free," it whispered softly, its expression softening. I couldn't find the words to express how profound this moment felt. I looked back at the heart, which had returned to rest on the altar, a simple stone now wrapped in a comforting silence. Then the shadows began to return. Fleeting and intangible, they drifted one last time before fading into the trees. And yet, part of me felt their presence linger, as if the stories they left behind were unfinished. I took a deep breath, suddenly aware of everything that had happened. The fear and desperation were replaced by an overwhelming sense of relief. But within me, the uncertainty grew. Had Clara truly found peace? Or had I only restored the balance, leaving untold stories behind? I turned, ready to leave this place forever changed. Whatever shadows had lingered would remain unanswered, part of the mystery that defined this world. As I walked away from the altar, I realized the questions might never have clear answers. I would carry the weight of them with me, like the heartbeat of the key in my pocket. Outside the cemetery gates, the sun began to rise. I moved onward, knowing one truth, that embracing the uncertainties ahead would be my own path to finding peace, whatever that looked like.